Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. My name is Rita Hickman, and I am a body-mind expert and a shiatsu massage therapist here in Northern Illinois. And this week, good morning, Ro. It's nice to see you. This week, we've been covering the topic of soulmates, and I think it's been such a great, popular topic that I think we'll continue doing it next week, just because there's so many things that that are around soulmates. You know, I've spent actually the last couple decades purposely, I love you too, Ro. Good morning, Jody. Purposely looking for the soulmate experience. And I learned over that period of time that soulmates are absolutely everywhere. And their purpose is to help raise our vibration, to sneak past our defenses, our conscious mind guard, and hit us where our deepest parts of ourselves live. You know, the wounds, the memories, the ideas, and the paradigm shifts that we need to have in order to go from having the mind of a girl to the mind of a woman. You know, soulmates really help you do the work to get out of those patterns of behavior, out of those ideas that have been controlling you for most of your life and making decisions for you. And it lets them come up so that you can love them, heal them, accept them, allow them to be, understand them, you know, all those great things. And it makes you more whole. So, good morning, Liz. So today's topic is about raising your soulmate potential. And I'm going to start with a story. You know, so there was a drug therapist, and he had a television show for a while. And this television show was he worked with group therapy and then did individual therapy for people. And these were people that were dealing with drugs, sexual addiction, you know, and a couple other things going on. And so, good morning, Lisa. So one of the things that they would do every show is they would take one person from this drug sex therapy group and follow them for the therapy that they did. And, you know, there's such a wide variety of people who were, you know, homemakers and people who were, you know, different sexual orientations and people who were shy. And, you know, it was actually a really wide variety of human beings. Oddly enough, a good representation of all of us. And so in one of the group therapy sessions, he said to the group, he said, if you've got an addiction of any sort, whether it's a sexual addiction or drug addiction or shopping addiction or anything along those lines, if you have a lot of issues to be cleaned up, the only people who are really going to be interested in having an equal relationship with you is someone who's got just as many problems as you do or more. So if you're a cocaine addict, who really wants to and will stay with having a relationship with someone who has so many problems, good morning, Rita, that they're not willing to address, that they're not willing to work on and heal and fix? Very few people. And I know this is kind of an extreme example, you know, because I doubt many of you out there are cocaine addicts, but we do have addictions of all sorts, and we do have a lot of issues and reactions and pain and struggles that get in the way of having good relationships. And so the only way to have the soulmate relationship that you're looking for, good morning, Kathy, the only way to have that relationship is to raise your vibration, to raise your soulmate potential. Meaning, the healthier you get, the healthier you are, then the more likely someone else who is healthy will want to have that relationship with you. And only when two people come together, 24 years, that's great. Good morning, Kathy. Only when two relatively healthy people come together and both who care about one another and are willing to stick with each other through the issues. It sounds what marriage was always supposed to be like. Only when you do that can you create the relationship that you've always been looking for. You know, the one where there's consideration and thoughtfulness and back and forth and understanding. You know, only when your issues get cleaned up and their issues get cleaned up can you really have that peak experience, that peak relationship that that we really all, you know I dreamed of when I was a little girl. You know, I read, I can't tell you how many romance novels I read, you know, how many chick flicks I watched, all the things that said, oh yeah, you can have this. So in order to have that though, you have got to raise your own vibration. Now, how do you do that? That's a really, wiggy sort of topic. You can talk to all sorts of energy workers and people in the healing industry. And there's a lot of different methods, let's say metaphysical methods. There's vibrational healing, there's hands-on healing, there's shamanic healing, there's acupuncture, there's Asian medicine. There's all these different things. But the method I have found that works the best to raise your vibration is to take advantage of soulmate opportunities that are around you. They don't have to last a long time. They can be just a moment or an hour or a couple of days. Now, how do you know when you have a soulmate interaction? When someone touches you in a deep way, when they bring up that anger, when they bring up that conflict, or even just a reaction from you, like a look, or I'm going to walk away from that. Many people think that those are things they need to avoid, that we need to avoid stuff that makes us feel uncomfortable. Now, if it's abusive and more than you want to handle, that's one thing. But, and we all know that we need to set boundaries of how we want to be treated. But when you get yourself in a grounded place, then you can take advantage of these soulmate opportunities that come your way. And what they are is they're opportunities to bring up your deepest fears, your deepest memories, the things that control you, release the energy from them. And on the other side of this is the wisdom and the understanding in the lesson. There is a kind of a healing rule, which all of us know about. It's that quote that says, if you're going through hell, keep going. And this is the reason. Because on the other side of all of that hell, of all of that emotional angst and the heartbreak and the emotional destruction and the anger and the need to fight and the need to defend and protect, on the other side of that, if you stay present to it, then you get wisdom and understanding and you evolve and grow as a person. Negative emotions aren't something to be avoided. We have to be very mindful about, when it's too much for us. But negative emotions are things that we want to, in some ways, walk towards and embrace. So when you take advantage of the small soulmate opportunities, the guy on the street corner or the person at work, in things that don't really matter, you know what I mean, everybody matters and everything matters, but in things that aren't going to seriously disrupt your life, or people who aren't going to seriously disrupt your life, they're great opportunities to work through these things. So those people at work that make you completely crazy, that have emotional issues that that goes back to their mother or their father or some girlfriend or something that somebody did to them. And you perfectly know that they need to be in therapy. You totally get it. You're like, you need to be in therapy. You need to get some help because this is an issue. If you are grounded, those are opportunities for you to evolve and grow. They're opportunities for you to raise your vibration. Good morning, Raquel. Because when someone triggers you, good morning, Ann. When someone triggers you, when they bring up those emotions, it allows you to move that energy. So this is what happens when a bad thing happens to you when you're young, or when you're in a very vulnerable place. When a bad thing happens to you, what we tend to do is avoid it. We compartmentalize it, we put it in a box, and we ignore it. After we, of course, have obsessed about it for a while, then we put it away. The problem with that is those body memories, those emotions, they don't just magically disappear. They sit there and they kind of wait until someone else comes along that looks just like that person, that smells like that person, or behaves like that person. Most relationships, it's us projecting onto people past experiences that we've had. Only when we really take the time to get to know someone can we get past that. That's why the whole first, judgment on first glance is so powerful, because it opens that box and reminds us of all the other things that fit in that box, that have lived there. So when we tend to get angry and hurt, we're really not seeing the other person. We're seeing the thing that needs to be healed. We're seeing the memory that needs to change, or the misunderstanding. We were taught many things as little girls. Many of us were taught to be good, to say the right thing, to do the right thing, to people please, to get along. Good morning, Connie. Many of us were taught those things, and those are little girl beliefs. Those are beliefs that worked for us when we were a child, but are not what we need or what the world needs from us as a woman. And so we have to go through this transformational paradigm shift where we go from girl to woman. And, it was supposed to happen, let's say, in our teens or 20s. But let's just admit it. Our culture's all screwed up. We end up with all of these triggers and all of these suppressed emotions and, what media tells us to be. And so you just embrace the fact that at some point in time, you are going to have this paradigm shift of going from girl to woman. And soulmates help you do that, even if it's just the soulmate who works at the deli. For me, I've had soulmates when I used to waitress a million years ago. The sous chefs, because they were such jerks and they would sexually harass me. And I didn't know any better because I was in my 20s. It was like, okay, how do I deal with this? But those mini opportunities are ways that you go from girl to woman, ways that you raise your vibration. Because what happens is it brings up that thing that you don't want to look at. And the first thing that you do when that happens is you say the thing that you always wanted to say, but that you didn't say when you were supposed to say it. Do you know what I mean? Do you follow me with that? Let me explain it a little bit more. When something happens to us, we tend to get into an emotional loop, right? And we get paranoid and we obsess about things. And we can't get out of that obsession mindset because it's so emotionally charged. We can't get out of it. So instead what we do is we go, okay, I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to forget about this. I'm going to put it away because everything's fine. We intellectualize it. We don't actually move through the emotion and get to the other side. So we tend to obsess and we go around. And in that obsession, we think about, well, this is what I should have said, and this is what I should have done, and all your friends chime in, and you look for help on the internet, and you look for, articles and things like that to help you rationalize what's going on, help you get your head around it. And you get yourself all kind of stoked up and worked up of, you know what, when this happens again to me, this is how I'm going to handle it. Well, that trigger is walking around with us. And some person who has all of their own issues and may have different intentions than you expect walks into your life, your soulmate, your temporary soulmate maybe. They walk into your life and they say the thing that reminds you of all of that pain. And so the box opens up, you say and do the thing. It's like practicing. You say and you do the thing that you were going to do last time, and this time you're not going to put up with it, and I'm not going to do that, and you better do this. And this other person, of course, is going to respond in a very defensive way because, when you start pointing fingers and when you start blaming people for things that, maybe have a really long history for you, that rarely works out well. But as I said, this is the opportunity. Someone comes in and they act just like the person who acted, who hurt you before in your past, your dad, your mom, the babysitter, your brother, the boyfriend, the kids at school, the bullies, whatever. And they feel the same way. That box opens and you feel all of this stuff. You know, the neat thing about it, whoops, sorry about that. Everybody fell. The neat thing about this, I get excited about this topic, is that, good morning, Doug, is that here is your opportunity to finally get a handle on all of those feelings and all of those thoughts that you put into that box, and to find a way to move that energy and that hurt and that anger and that misunderstanding and come to a place of peace, come to a place of balance for yourself. So on the other side of all of that emotion and all of that hurt and all the stuff that's been stuffed down, when that emotion is moved through you, your mind is actually able to work in a more integrated way. And it's able to see solutions and understandings that maybe you'd never seen before, you know, that you couldn't see clearly because you were avoiding how you felt. You were avoiding, you know, those triggers and that obsessive thinking. One of the things that has been a really good lesson for me of moving from girl to woman has been realizing that people need me to be whole. They need me to show them all the different aspects of me. Because, you know, for me, I had trouble setting boundaries, for example. And as I turned from girl to adult, as I raised my vibration, I realized that people feel safer when I let them know what I'll accept and what I don't. And they'll respect me more. I don't have to do it in a way that's finger pointing. I don't have to do it in a way that's at the top of my voice. I can set boundaries by deciding for myself, rules for myself, what I'll accept and what I won't. And so when someone speaks a way that I'm not interested or willing to listen to, I can hang up the phone. I can walk away. That's my rule for myself. And I can say, if you're going to talk to me like this, I'm walking away. And when they continue to talk like that, you walk away. Now, you know, in our mind's eye, for me, this was like a really big deal. This was, if I walk away, they're going to be mad. The world's going to come to an end. I'm going to ruin the relationship. I'll look weak. I will be hurting their feelings. All of those things came up for me. And in reality, in healthy relationships, in people that, you know, are lifelong relationships, they want you to set boundaries. They want you to tell them, this is acceptable to me and this is unacceptable to me. Because if they care about you and they want to have a long-term relationship with you, then they want to bend and shift for you just as much as you want to bend and shift for them. So by letting people know where your lines are, that's a really healthy tool, and that raises your vibration. This is what I mean about raising our vibrations and cleaning up the misunderstandings. I had so many misunderstandings because I came from a rough upbringing, you know, and what I learned about relationships was from media and from, you know, sitcoms and fantasies and romance books. And I know in this culture, a lot of us did. You know, we didn't have those healthy conversations with our moms or our dads or, you know, or with friends. We all had something, you know, that we compartmentalized and put away. And our idea of, you know, what a soulmate or what a relationship is supposed to look like. And if I'm going to be blunt, they all lied to us. That level of connection and intimacy is possible, but it's not possible immediately. It never is. The only way is when two people who have a really high vibration, who understand and embrace their adulthood, who have a desire to continue to expand and reclaim parts of themselves and understand different points of view, only those people can have that true, intimate soulmate experience. And you don't really know where people are at until you've spent some time with them. Because if they trigger you on a deep emotional level, that usually means that you have a deep emotional thing that you need to work with, that you need to reflect upon. Good morning, Julie. that you need to move the energy, and maybe you need other soulmates to do that. Maybe you need the soulmates from work or the soulmates at the deli to help you work through those things and come up with an understanding and a story and a rationale that makes sense to you. And then you can bring yourself to this relationship that you want. Once you've gone from the girl to the woman, once you have a much better understanding of how relationships really work, of how men and women really interact together, and not just coming from your emotions or even a felt sense or even your intuition. Our intuition many times is based on our past experiences. And if our past experiences have memories or thoughts or issues that we haven't made peace with yet, then our intuition is going to lead us a little astray. Good morning, Carrie. Our intuition will be accurate on some things, but it won't have the whole picture. So intuition and that strong, emotional, powerful beta endorphin rush is not necessarily a good indication of a lifelong and intimate sort of soulmate. But it will give you a soulmate for the time being. You know, it will give you that mini lesson that you can work through so that you're raising your vibration and you're ready for somebody else who wants a healthy relationship, who's capable of a healthy relationship. Now, for me, I found that a lot of people in our society and culture, they've got a lot of issues that they need to clean up. And in the fast, hectic pace that we live in, they don't really have a lot of interest in cleaning them up. Good morning, Charmaine. And so when you want a lifelong, intimate, meaningful, soulmate sort of relationship, many times you have to start farther along the journey. You have to start where people aren't quite ready, and you stick with them through the pain that comes up, and the betrayals and the heartbreaks and the you know, the emotions that come up, and the fights and the misunderstanding. You know, as long as it's at a level that doesn't, you know, make you drive off of a bridge, as long as it's at a level that you can handle, that you can work with, that you keep filling yourself with love and light and resources and water and exercise, you know, as long as you do a lot of good self-care, that you can handle, you know, and deal with the issues that somebody else brings to the table, and they're willing to work on themselves. That's how you create that level of connection and intimacy that you have really always wanted, you know, that we were taught exists. So soulmates on the earlier end, they're really tough. You know, they look like the people who've hurt us the most. They look like heartbreaks and betrayal. They look like anger and insults. That's what they look and they feel like. When you go through some of those with the person, and the person keeps showing up and they keep self-reflecting and evolving through them and wanting to grow, and you keep growing, then you've found a soulmate for a much longer period of time. And as you keep cleaning these things up and working through the misunderstandings of what it means to be a woman or what it means to be an adult, and not a little girl anymore, and they work through their issues on their end, what it's like to be an adult male, then you can reach and shape your relationship to that magical, wonderful, and amazing place that you're looking for. And trust me, it really does exist. Sometimes it exists in moments, and then you have some more things to clean up. So, but those moments get longer and longer and longer, you know, until they turn into days and weeks and months and years and decades and then a lifetime. So what you want is really possible, but you have to raise your vibration first. And so temporary soulmates are the way to do it. And working with someone before they're ready, in order to, good morning, Dan, in order to have the relationship come to that big soulmate, you know, powerful, intimate relationship. Working with them together and separately, you know, to get what you've always wanted. And that's how you end up with soulmates of 35 years. Good morning, Laura. That's how you end up with soulmates that give you the experiences of joy and love and intimacy and connection that you had only dreamed was possible, but didn't quite believe was possible because you hadn't felt it yet. That's because you're not ready. So when you raise your vibration, when you go from girl to woman, when you work through all of those things, now you are ready to attract and create and hold on to that soulmate relationship that you want, sort of thing that that you'll be able to, to listen to and watch whenever you like. So if you're interested in this, go to inspiremassage.com, sign up for our tribe. You'll get replays and daily inspirations, and I'm so glad you joined me. Thank you so much. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Laura. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.